Well, I'm hoping that you can bring some of those skills to our discussion today because we are talking about Meghan Markle's big Paris Fashion Week debut. You cover Meghan a lot on your channel. And to me, I thought this was a very different looking Meghan.
All right, let's talk about this fascinating little breakdown of Meghan Markle's Paris Fashion Week debut and the way Kinsey Schofield and body language expert Scott Rouse basically tore it apart in the most polite, analytical way possible, of course. The chat starts off light. They're joking about Crime Con, laughing about fans, complimenting each other, but then Kinsey casually drops a bomb. So, we're talking about Meghan Markle's big Paris Fashion Week debut.
Did you feel that way too when I initially sent you some of these clips? Did you go, wow, this isn't Bloomberg Meghan. This isn't With Love Meghan. This isn't the type of Meghan we typically see. Or am I just maybe just so
No,
caught off guard by the Obi-Wan Kenobi cape?
no, you're completely right because you haven't seen this behavior from her because she's been like, this is the authentic me, and this is what I'm not wearing makeup, and and she's talking these interviews she's doing, and what we're seeing here is her being out and being Megan the in her head. I'm sure she still has that inner dialogue of I'm a duchess or whatever it is, and there are questions about whether she is or not. I don't think she is. She still got that? She's still the
She
I don't
technically has the name, but
okay.
but she's not in the United States. What is a title?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's we're seeing her put on her face of I'm being, but you can tell with some of these things that the ones that you sent me anyway, somebody said, here's how you do this.
Okay.
But they didn't spend much time with her. If that in fact happened, because she may just be watching things. So I'll point out a few things as we go along to show you what she thinks she's supposed to do, and she's almost doing it right. But if she had had a professional sit down with her and go, here's how you do that. When you step out, you do this. When you walk by, you do this. She's real close, but I think if nobody said, here's what you do, someone, she's mimicking what she's seeing. She's been watching all these people do this. And it's like anything else. If you don't have somebody instructing you on it in person, so when you mess up,
They can
then you
correct
don't,
course.
yeah. So you
Yeah,
don't
so
know
it's
you're
so
messing it up.
I think I let me try to translate what you're saying. You think she's like on TikTok or Instagram watching people she admires do these things, but she
Yeah.
doesn't have any real world guidance where somebody can go, actually, don't make that face. Don't make that
Right.
face. I like the
Right.
walk. Don't make that face. Shift the face. Walk is
Yes.
fine. I can so see her at home looping videos of like Angelina Jolie getting out of a car at a fashion show.
Yeah. And maybe one of her friends said, and do this. That's what I mean by somebody sat down and talked to her and gone over those things with her because it just, if you haven't seen these things yet, when you see them, you'll go, something will bother you about it if you haven't seen these yet. You'll say, why is this so cringy? Why does this hurt me? And I'll show you why.
Okay, let's jump into some of them. The very first video I want to show you is at the beginning of the night, and she's in this white outfit. And I don't think you would ever say to me that you believe you are level expert on fashion, but I would love your opinion on the white outfit in general. Is she comfortable? How is she when you
Uh,
look at these?
as odd as that looks is as odd as she feels. I know that
Mm,
that sounds odd.
this is when we first see her, I believe, in the night. I want you to look at this walk
Right.
and tell me what your vibe is. Because my favorite comment online was, did she just have a hip replacement?
Right. Well, look at her left hand, the way that's stuck up like that. If you
Yes.
don't have something to do with your hands, then you just look goofy walking out. You look like that person behind her. It's like a normal person. So she tries to look poised as she walks out. And the thing is, you look straight ahead, you have a blank expression on your face for the most part, like nothing else is happening. There's a specific way you'll see famous people do this. And I know that they're told how to do it because I know the people who tell them what to do or suggest, here's what you do when you do this. When you walk out, you've got to do this. When you hold your hand like this. I'm sure everybody's seen those things on Instagram and TikTok where the guy goes, you can take a picture like this, then he changes the girl and it looks like a different person because she's standing there the way she thinks she's supposed to look, thinks everybody's doing. But then when he goes, no, move your leg back this way, put your hand up this way and do it like this instead of like this. It makes all the difference in the world. That's what she's trying to do by herself or one or two of her friends together saying, now do this as she comes out because it looks so odd and so stiff. Whereas it should be natural. When she's talking about being authentic, this is where she should be authentic as well. Because in all of her interviews, I'm just trying to be authentic. Nah, this is where you actually see her not being, and people go, I knew I didn't like her, and see, and so you can point at that and say, because they know it makes everyone else uncomfortable as well, because it doesn't look natural.
Um, like when you talk about that lack of authenticity, and I'm not saying this is authentic either, but I do think what I've come to expect from her is when she walks out and sees a crowd or sees cameras, she usually goes like a Disney princess, like, and so it is so strange to me to see the dead eyes. Like she's trying to look like she's not miserable, that classic LA look, like I don't even really want to be here.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to process that.
Cue dramatic pause. Because the moment you bring Meghan into any conversation, especially when she's playing dress up on the Paris runway of all places, you just know things are about to get interesting. Kinsey sets the tone. She's noticed something off. Meghan didn't look like her usual Bloomberg Meghan, aka the podcasting, socially aware version, or with Love Meghan, the wannabe lifestyle influencer.
Well, there's a part of this. If one of if you train 3-lettered agencies, CIA, FBI, those kind of, a lot of times those groups are dealing with other countries,
Mm.
and so sometimes other countries will have when you have these meetings, say United States and Russia or whoever they're going to meet with, they'll have people from the government in there that are higher up that just want to be a part of this meeting so they can see what the Americans look like, see what's happening, sort of get a vibe on what's going on with them. And it was really hard to spot those people. How could you tell what was happening? So, to make a long, horrifically boring story short, we figured out how to spot those people and would train everybody what to look for. Then they found out that we were doing that, so they would change it. And then we had to start looking for something else. And then they found out about that. So I know what it looks like when you've been instructed to, or you're trying to look like something you're not as you're literally walking out the door. So we could see where these people would go when they left. We know they're going to their cars and all that, but you could tell a lot by who's in charge, by who follows that person. The alpha is usually in the front, and the others follow a little bit behind them. So they found that out too. But there are other ways you can find out. This is one of those things, and they have a look on their face, and they you can spot by the way they walk and how they act, and that's what we're seeing here. This is really overblown for her,
Yeah.
for to be using it as an example, but that's what I'm talking about. You can spot these things
Well, no,
because
I
you
don't
can.
think it's overblown. I think that it totally makes sense, especially because it's such a contrast to what we normally see. I understand what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
that it makes perfect sense.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah.
That's
Because
why
it's.
we love you. Oh wait, are you going to totally disagree with the internet that compared her to Zoolander? Or I mean, you're being much more serious here, but can we take a moment to say that it is giving a little Zoolander? Are you above that? That's okay if
No,
you are.
no, no, I love stuff like that. That's what I told you when I get on here. I feel like going, girl, she do, but I got to watch my
We
mouth.
one day I'm gonna make the edit. One day every episode we're like, girl, I'm just gonna have an edit of like 10 minutes of you doing that.
That's what I need. But yeah, it's because she's doing that. She's in Zoolander. They're way over the top, acting like a model. They're acting like models, and she's acting like one too. That's why that comparison all of a sudden comes up because you go, oh, they did that in Zoolander. That's what's going on because it's so obvious. You can
Yes.
tell she's trying to do it.
She is acting like a model. That is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the questions I had for you about this, you kind of already answered for me because you're a genius. Did she practice this? Do you
Yeah.
think that, yeah, so you're
Oh,
saying yes, she's in the hotel, she's in this large, suite hotel penthouse, probably walking back and forth, practicing this. Is her confidence real? She's acting like a model, but is this confidence real? Because I'm so sorry I didn't grab this video, but we saw a video a few weeks ago of Harry and Meghan at the 805 live concert. There are other examples I could give. Kevin Costner's charity event where she's timid and she's like, timid. So I feel like this person is a bit of a chameleon. I love that you said she's acting like a model. She's just acting. I've got to remind myself she's acting.
Hmm.
I wonder how true this confidence is, or if she's acting confident.
No, this version was different, weirdly stiff, dead-eyed, and somehow not even sure where to put her hands. That's really the story of Meghan Markle right now, a woman who has everything she ever wanted, yet somehow still doesn't feel at home in her own skin. She's not walking, she's acting like someone who's walking. She's not smiling, she's performing the idea of a smile. And she's not confident, she's mimicking what she thinks confidence looks like.
Well, when you see a boxer, nobody, you've never heard anybody say, "You think that guy really has confidence?" That boxer on the left or the one on the right, they've all got confidence. And the reason that you're saying, "I wonder if she," because she doesn't. Your brain sees that, and especially as a woman, women's brains are different than men's brains. I think I explained that on here before, and they take in a lot more information than men do, and it is deciphered and decoded and torn apart and looked at differently than the man's brain looks at that information that's incoming. So you all get that feeling of, I don't like that long before we do. We have men's gut feeling where we think we know everything, and that's why. And then you all have women's intuition where you think about it for a minute because it takes so long to sift through all those big groups of information you're grabbing. Then you can go, I don't like this person. You won't know why at first, but later on you'll go, I know why. Maybe a day or 2 days later, but you go, I don't like her or him because of this. And you'll be able to say that. And that's the feeling you get when you're seeing her. That's why you're saying, is this real confidence? Because you would know we wouldn't even be talking about it because it would be so obvious. We would just go on to the next thing. So no, that's not real. That's put on as well.
I
And I
believe the
think she was,
confidence is inauthentic, but I think she's thrilled that she's in that position. Does
yeah.
that make sense? Can those two things be the same?
Oh yeah, because the narcissistic side of this, it's in the narcissist in her. She is a narcissist. Nirvana. This is where they want to be with, the flashing lights and all that. And she's seen people do that. That's why she got her hand out walking that really odd walk. We'll get to her shoes in a little while. But I'm supposed to look at all this stuff. And
Yes.
as a professional, that's what I do. And I just call them like I see them.
Yeah.
But I'm not like looking to look at those shoes. I'm just saying,
Well,
let's
she
see
she
what's some
makes it
problems with
easy
that.
for us when she puts it on a car seat. When she holds her hand out in a strange way, does she want us to see her jewelry? Because a lot is made out of the jewelry she chooses to wear. Whether she grabs one of Princess Diana's old pieces, at the Kevin Costner event recently, she allegedly wore over $300,000 worth of jewelry at a charity event. So could she be proud? Is she proud of it? Or is that really just her giving off those airs of like, I'm a duchess. I'm a duchess here.
Well, she knows that whatever jewelry she's going to be wearing is going to be looked at and shown, but that's not why she's sticking her hand out like that. She's doing that because that's what she's seen people do
Yeah.
or been told to do and said, here's how you do this. And she practiced once or twice at the house, at home before she left. And I don't think she was in the hotel room getting ready for it because it would look smoother than it looks at this point. The
Ah.
narcissistic side of her says, "You got this, man. Don't worry about that." And there's nobody there to say, "This looks goofy, man," because you have that thing where if you don't treat the narcissist the way it wants to be treated, then you get kicked to the curb. She's got a bunch of people that are being nice to her, even if they don't. They're just being too nice to her and not telling her that looks goofy and weird. So when she goes home, I'm sure Harry's saying, "Hey, look, man, this is they're going to say no matter what you do, they're going to say something about it."
Which is why, no matter how many couture outfits she wears or fashion shows she attends, people will keep seeing through it. Because you can polish an image, but you can't fake ease. And that's what makes the whole thing so fascinating, and, honestly, a little bit sad. Paris was supposed to be her triumph. Instead, it became a masterclass in overacting. In the end, Meghan didn't walk into Paris Fashion Week as an authentic duchess or the modern woman reclaiming her power. She walked in as someone trying desperately to convince herself she still matters, one Zoolander stride at a time.